this episode of talking about fun TV shows, I talk about Outlander's 12th episode from Season 1, Lallybroch. Hello everyone, I'm your host Betty. Thanks for listening to the podcast today. Okay, so I need to clear something up. In the second episode, I talked about Jenny and what she went through with Blackjack Randall. I kind of got that scene wrong, and we'll get into it more when we start discussing the episode. But right here, I'm admitting that I got it wrong. So anyway, I can explain right here why I got it wrong. It's because, I have watched this show, from season 1 all the way to season 5, and I have read the books from book 1 to book 5. But it's been a really long time since I have watched this show from the beginning to current seasons. So I'm going to get things wrong, and I'm going to get, stuff, mixed up. That being said, though, my goof wasn't that bad. I mean, I just, I kind of implied that maybe Jenny probably, showed her strength, to Blackjack Randall and, gave him a good Jenny beating, but she didn't. All she did to get rid of Blackjack Randall, her way is pretty clever. Her way is better than what I was thinking. All she did was laughed in his face. So, but anyway, yeah, I got that wrong, and I'm admitting, like I said, I'm admitting it right here and right now. Like I said, I think I said this in that episode, or I've said it before anyway. If I get things wrong, and y'all are listening to this, and y'all are like, come on, Betty, you know better than this, or you should know better than this. Let me know. Call me out on it, because I'm not gonna get it perfect. I'm not perfect. So anyway, and one more thing before we get into the discussion of this episode, from my previous episode, there was a thing that I noticed that I didn't bring up in the conversation on the last episode, is that Galis in that last episode, she said that, when she was talking with Claire in the Thieves' Hole, talking about her baby, she said matter-of-factly, it wasn't even a question, that she was having a boy. And it got me to wondering, did she know she was having a boy? Because she's from the future, so did she know she was going to be having a boy? Because did she know her past, or her future? I don't know, but anyway, it just got me to wondering. So that's just food for thought. But let's get into the episode that we're currently discussing. Oh yeah, and by the way, instead of getting these off of IMDb now, I'm getting them from Outlander Wiki, because it seems like Outlander Wiki has better trivia and better things. So I went on that website instead of IMDb this time, and I'll probably continue to in the future. But anyway, the synopsis reads: reunited, Claire and Jamie make their way to Lallybroch, Jamie's family home. Reality quickly sets in, and old wounds are reopened between Jamie and his sister Jenny. So this episode, it starts out, the title card is actually 2 dogs laying in front of the fire, and then it shows the Lallybroch name of the episode. I'm bringing this up because I want to mention that back in the day when this first aired, I think it was around Christmas time, and these 2 dogs, they stars every year during Christmas, they release a Yule log for you to watch and sit and stuff. And this year, the first year of Outlander, they did that, and they showed these 2 dogs in front of this fire for I think it was a whole hour, I think is how long that Yule log lasts. But anyway, that's not important. But I wanted to bring it up. But anyway, See, my memory is still good. I may forget, important details from the episodes, but I remember stuff, from back then. But anyway, this episode, it starts out with Jamie and Claire, and they're riding, through the countryside to get to Lallybroch. And they're talking about Claire's time and stuff. And I also want to mention right here, before I get too ahead, the countryside of Scotland, when they're riding the horse and stuff, they're showing all of the beautiful mountains and all of the beautiful scenery. Scotland is just so beautiful. But anyway, they're talking about Claire's time, like Claire's trying to explain what a airplane is, and how high it flies, and just how beautiful or how amazing it would be to be on a plane. And then Jamie asks her, how old she is, and she tells him that she's 27. And this kind of surprises Jamie, because he always thought that she was either his age or younger. But I think he's 5 years younger than her. And again, guys, if I'm getting these things wrong, correct me. But the reason why I say that I think she's 5 years older than him is because he says that when he's 40, she will be 245. So, but they're riding on the horse, and as they get, Jamie stops the horse because they've arrived at Lallybroch, and they get off the horse and they're looking, and we get our first glimpse of Lallybroch, and it is so beautiful. And I would just love to be able to visit the real place that this location is filmed at, because that is it's gorgeous. But anyways, while they're standing there, Jamie has a moment, where he has this flashback of what happened the last time he was there. And, he remembers what Black Jack Randall did, and what he did, what Jamie believes happened with Jenny, and it's hard, it's hard memories for him. So they're walking through the forest, and Jamie is telling Claire that Dougal had heard that Jenny had a bastard child of Black Jack Randall's, and Claire says that, it's just a rumor, it may not be true. So they approach Lallybroch, and Jamie is putting away the horse, and Claire sees a little boy playing in the yard there, and she goes over and talks to him. And Jenny comes around the corner, and she calls for Jamie's name. And our Jamie, Big Jamie, he thinks that she's talking to him, but she's really talking to the little boy. And but as this all happens simultaneously, as she's talking, or as she's calling for the little one, Jamie walks around and she sees him, and she drops the basket she's holding and everything, and she goes over there and hugs him. And she's just so happy to see him, and she says, it's been 4 years and no word and all of this. And she calls the little boy over there and tells him, that this is the man that you're named after. This is your uncle, Jamie. And Jamie is upset because he asks, why would she name this little boy after him, Black Jack Randall's bastard. And this upsets Jenny, because she's like, you think I had Black Jack Randall's bastard? And so Jamie, he's like, we shouldn't have come here. And Claire steps up and says that maybe they should all go talk in the house. And Jenny interrupts her and says, tell this trollop to stay out of my business. And then, of course, Jamie, he gets up in Jenny's face and says, you'll speak to my wife with respect, she's my wife, and you'll treat her with respect. And then Jenny, she grabs him and says, do I have to grab you by your bollocks and make you stand still like we were kids so you'll listen to me? And Jamie's like, well, you'll shame me in front of my wife and everything. And she's like, well, if she's your wife, then I'm pretty sure she's more familiar with your balls than I am. So Jenny, she's saying, don't test me, brother, because the last time I saw you was strung up on that archway, and then, I thought you were dead, and then you come home and act like this. And then first Jamie says, who is the father of this boy? And Ian comes around the corner and he says that it's his, and Jenny says, this is your brother-in-law. And of course, Jamie knows him, they were they were friends and they grew up together and they even fought in the war together. That's how Ian lost his leg. But Ian is like, you always knew how to make an entrance, Jamie, and is so glad to see you. And he also said that they thought that he was dead until they received their chest from Castle Leok. And so, but Jamie turns around and he's trying to say sorry